Hi, it's Handy Andy Tech Tips here. Now, in a previous video, I showed you how to make your own offline music library by ripping CDs into the lossless FLAC format. A lot of people liked that tutorial, so in this video, which will serve as a part 2, I'm going to show you how I made my own radio station. Well, not really. It's basically a playlist, but I'm using some special tricks and hardware to make it into a background music system that can be started at the touch of a button. So let's get started. Now, if you followed the steps in my last video, you'll have a folder full of FLAC files where each album is in its own folder. Now for the playlist, what you need to do is make a plain text file with the extension M3U8, which is a common extension for playlists. I've called mine FLAC playlist subset.m3u8, and I'm using Notepad++ to edit the file. So in order to list each song that you want in the playlist, use this format. Album name / song file name. So basically the path to each song. You can put as many songs as you want in here. I've got more than 2,700 in my playlist. Now you'll need a way to copy the files from your main FLAC library to a new folder that has just a subset of files that are included in the playlist. I don't want to have to do this manually, so I'm using a pair of Windows batch scripts for this purpose. I've made a video all about copying a list of files from one folder to another using batch scripts if you want to check it out. But here I'll give a brief description of how they work. So both scripts are essentially the same, but one is for recreating the entire playlist and one is for copying new files that you want to add to an existing playlist. This is the first one called recreate FLAC subset.bat. And here are the commands I'm using. I do an @echo off to disable unwanted output on the command line. Then I change the code page to UTF-8, which allows special characters that are outside the regular English alphabet to be used in file names. Then I tell it to make a new folder called FLAC playlist subset. It will go through each line in the text file. This command basically says that the files are separated with a new line, and copy the files listed from the main FLAC library folder to the FLAC playlist subset folder. Lastly, it will pause before the command line window closes, which lets you make sure everything is copied over properly. Now don't worry if you didn't get all of that. I'll put the code in the description and you can just use it and change the file paths to ones that will work on your system. Now as I said before, the second batch script called update FLAC subset.bat is almost exactly the same, but instead of FLAC playlist subset, it makes a folder called FLAC new tracks, and it reads from a file called flacnewtracks.m3u8. If you have an existing playlist and just want to add some new songs to it, this will let you copy only the new tracks to be added, saving you time. So I'm going to use this version of the script today. You can see in my FLAC library, I have the FLAC new tracks playlist, and if we open that up, it has about 15 songs in it. These are the ones that I want to add. So to do this, I'll run the update batch file that we looked at, and it will copy those files over to the FLAC's new tracks folder. It doesn't take too long, and when it's finished, I can press a key to close the window and then make sure that the new folder has been created. Okay, so we have the playlist subset files stored in the FLAC format. Now I want to convert them to AAC, which is a lossy format. This is because AAC has smaller file sizes, and also because we can apply ReplayGain to the file contents. I'll explain that one later. To convert the files, I'll use dbPoweramp, which is a very versatile audio tool. It's paid software, but I think it's definitely worth the money. After you open it, click on the Batch File Converter option, and then it will display a directory tree which lets you pick the folder to convert. I'll choose FLAC New Tracks because, remember, I'm only updating the playlist with new songs. But if you're doing this for the first time, you choose the FLAC playlist subset folder. Now, click on the Convert button. It will come up with this window which gives you options for the encoding to use on the files. There's a lot of choices, but I like to use the MP4QAAC, which is the same AAC encoder used by iTunes. And of course, for this to work, you'll need to have iTunes installed on your PC. Now you can choose the quality. I'm going for the maximum here, which is a bitrate of around 330 kilobits per second. And here's the important part, where it's going to output the files. I have a folder called AAC Playlist Subset, which stores my lossy library. And then inside there, I'll get dbPoweramp to put the new files in a folder called, quite appropriately, New Additions. So in the output field, I'll need to make sure that it's going to that location. If you click on this drop-down, you can choose Edit Dynamic Naming, and then you can see the base location, which is that New Additions folder I was talking about, and also specify a template string for the file path and name. These things in square brackets are commands for what to do with the original file path of the FLAC file, and I'll try to explain what they mean. So firstly, I have trim first folder 4 times, which will remove 4 levels of folders. Why am I doing this? Because if a file is located in users/my-username/music/FLAC library, I want to strip out all of those parts of the original path. Then I have orig path, which will output the original folder name, which actually has the name of the album, and I obviously want to keep that. Then there are 4 empty square brackets, which are necessary for the trim first folder commands to work properly. Then a backslash, and then the orig file name. So that's the name of the song. Yes, it's very confusing, I know. I actually had to figure this out through trial and error. But if you're ever in doubt, don't worry, because if I click OK on this and go back to the original dialog, then click on the button near the encoding dropdown, which says 15 files at the moment, it will come up with a window showing both the source and destination file names so you can double check them. Okay, we've sorted that out, so now I can convert the files. It might take a little while to encode them, but after it's done, you will find, inside the AAC playlist subset, a folder called New Additions, and in there will be your playlist subset converted to AAC. Well done for making it this far. There's only a few more steps to go, I promise. The next one is to go into foobar 2000. You might remember that we used this in the original video to apply ReplayGain information to the files. ReplayGain is a way of specifying the volume of a track, and you can use it to make sure that all files play back at the same average level. That's very important for a playlist because you don't want your ears or speakers to be blasted out when you go from one track to another. Well, now we need to apply ReplayGain metadata to the AAC files that we just created because it doesn't transfer across from the FLACs. So in foobar, go to File, Preferences, then go to the Media Library section. If you're currently looking at your FLAC library, you can remove that temporarily and then add the New Additions folder inside the AAC playlist subset. Okay, now you can right-click on All Music in the sidebar and select ReplayGain Scan Per File Track Gain. It will come back with some values, and then you can click Update File Tags to add them to the track metadata. So that's what we did with the FLAC files originally. But there's something you can do with the AAC files that isn't possible with the FLACs, and that's to apply ReplayGain adjustment to the file contents. This is super useful because I found that a lot of devices don't take any notice of the metadata telling them how to adjust the volume of each track. But if you apply the gain to the file directly, it will bake in the adjustment in a way that's compatible with every device. So to do this, right-click on All Music again, then go to ReplayGain, Apply Gain to File Content, and this brings up yet more options. You want to apply the track replay gain, of course, and I found that a target volume of 87 dB works quite well. Ensure that Make Files Louder or Quieter is selected, as well as Lower Adjustment to prevent clipping. If you're using an SSD to store your music, check Use Multiple Threads to make the process quicker. Otherwise, if you're on a regular hard drive, just leave that unchecked. And then apply the adjustment, and awesome, we're finally done. But wait a second, I said I was going to show you how to create a radio station, and I've only shown how to create a folder with a bunch of files in it. Well, here's the thing. If I copy those files onto a USB flash drive, and I have a car with a USB input, I can plug it in and set the stereo to shuffle mode, and there's my radio station. Now, for playback at home, I bought a Yamaha WXC-50, which is a streaming media player that uses the company's MusicCast protocol and connects to a hi-fi system. If you have a router with a USB port, you should be able to create a media server using a flash drive as storage, which the MusicCast device can access. I'm using a Fritzbox router, and you can see that the flash drive shows up in the router config pages under the storage section. And also, in this other section, I've enabled the media server. I can then go into the config page of the Yamaha MusicCast device, and among all of the other input options, I can select Server. The router's media server shows up in the list, and then I can enable shuffle play on it. The Yamaha MusicCast device will default to the same input whenever it's turned on, so it can provide endless music at the touch of a button. And the power button is right on the front of the device, so you don't even need to use a phone app or a remote control. Well, I'm Handy Andy, and I really hope you enjoy the video. Please subscribe for more tech tutorials just like this one.